How is it going? What's going on? I want to talk today about the two factors that matter for local SEO success and how you can prepare today and judge your market so that you can be in a market that makes enough money while also at the same time putting yourself in a position to make a lot of money and, pick up wins fairly quickly. If you don't have revenue at the end of the day, you can't compete, and if there's not a big enough market to get the revenue, right? So once again, those two, right? Market potential and competition. And let's talk about how those work together to really help you dominate, how you can judge those. So this is, I think, a really interesting concept because I think a lot of businesses, they are stuck, right? They're stuck in what they have at their disposal, the location they're already in, whether they're a service area business or a physical location, the city their address is in, the products or services that they offer, right? Like, you kind of get stuck in this, but we have to be able to find an edge, right? Somewhere where we can make a lot of money if we do well, but that isn't going to take us forever. And I think this is the idea here too, right, is on having a 5-year outlook. Think something like a 5-year outlook and starting with that end in mind is also really helpful for shaping the decisions that you make today. Because if you get stuck trying to solve short-term problems every day, then you make short-term decisions that, you're going to go 5 years into the future and realize you're in the exact same spot. So we want to take these two really important pieces of local business and local SEO, but then try to put it on a scale that makes sense for a 5-year period. So I'm hoping that concept kind of makes sense. So let's look at what I mean. Let's start with potential. So the more niche you are, the more likely you are to succeed because the less competition is likely going to be there, right? But this only goes so far, because if you put yourself in too small of a niche or you get too specific, then once again, the question you have to ask first for yourself is, if I completely dominate in the market that I'm targeting, does that make me a big business? I want to build $2.5 million, $5 million businesses, right? Like, that's what you want to build. You don't want to try to build $100,000 revenue business. It's just not going to work that very well for you. And often the amount of effort that goes in is going to be the same. So this is where, like, keyword research and just understanding your market is really important, because it just gives you a handle on that potential. So I'm trying to think of some ideas, that are a little bit more unique. One that comes to mind is mufflers. So let's look, and this is also where your city comes into play. So let's kind of jump out here a little bit. Let's try to find somewhere, so let's say I live here in Waco, Texas. Okay. And I'm a muffler shop. Okay. And, or I'm looking to start a business, right? And, let's just see what kind of comes up here. So here you go. Right. So I want to start this muffler shop, and I'm in or around Waco and I'm saying, hey, I'm going to be the #1 muffler shop here in this Waco, Texas area. Well, as you can see pretty quick, right? We're looking at 30 visitors a month, right? So that doesn't put you, 30 search volume per month for these. That is not going to put you in a very good position. Let's say half of that is actually people looking for customers, or for looking for business, so 15. You're going to have 10 muffler jobs a month. Let's say they make you $250 in actual profit, right? And you get all 15, right? So we're looking at 25. No, so 250, 2,500, and then half, right? So 3750 or something like that. I might be completely wrong on that, but that is not going to be a very sustainable business model, right? So we need to start by making sure that what we're targeting has the volume to make it worth it in the long run. So know where you're targeting, know what and the reason I bring this up too is because I think a lot of people go too niche, right? When they start looking for something to do. I find a lot of people are kind of afraid to be like the #1 accountant in your area or the #1 dentist in your area. But then you realize pretty quickly the competition or the potential isn't what you thought it was, right? So, and that's where this kind of competitive assessment comes in. But I think for the first part here is just making absolutely sure that if you're going to spend a lot of time trying to build a Google business profile and build a business, that the potential is there. So what would I do here? Maybe I would, expand out into something like auto repair. Okay, well now auto repair, right? Auto electrical repair, auto glass repair, right? Auto repair in Waco. Well, this starts to get a little more interesting, right? And we have to think this is just the local search volume, including the keyword. So we have to make, 670 searches a month for this auto repair in Waco. Now you got to think that half of those, another 50% of people are searching, maybe even 100% without putting Waco in the name. So now we're looking at 1,200 searches a month, potentially for that. And that's not including other potential keywords that could be really important. So we might have 2,000 searches a month in this area. Now, what I would want to make sure is that Waco is not in some other area, right? That there's not another Waco, Nebraska or something that this is actually targeting. But, right, this becomes pretty interesting. And this can fill a big area too. So that's, right, now we can do some math, right? But I think you want to make sure that mathematically there is potential for your business to be a big business, right? If you are able to be #1 and dominate. Super important. Don't sell yourself short. Now let's kind of jump into the other side, because this is how you want to weigh things. Potential, competition. The other side of this being competition. So let's just look at this same thing that we've made up here. Let's say auto repair, Waco, Texas. And let's see what we got. So, okay, well, right, it's going to follow suit. A lot of potential brings a lot of competition. Now, that's not always the case, but you want to analyze your competition. And this is how I like to do it. How many businesses have over 1,000 reviews? How many businesses have over 100 reviews? 1,000 review businesses, those are crushing. 10,000 review businesses, that's soul crushing. 1,000 is crushing. And then over 100, we can kind of gauge that range, but, that's going to give you a pretty good idea of how much you're going to have to do. If you only have one, maybe two people that have over 100 reviews, they're on the lower end of that spectrum. I consider that a pretty low competition market. You get a lot of people in the 30s and 40s. That's probably a pretty good market. So here, we have a 315, 718, 800, 200, 700, 1300, 100, 200, 800, 200. Okay, a lot of competition, a lot of potential, but a lot of competition. Now, the benefit here, though, is that you have to take every industry with how many people are coming through. Something like auto repair, right? You're likely doing 8 jobs a day, maybe more. So, at 2 reviews a day, that's 60, reviews a month that you can be getting. And maybe that's even pretty easy. So you want to put always reviews within the spectrum, right? If you're an addiction treatment center and you treat 5 people every 30 days, that's a lot less review potential, right? So you got to take that review potential into play here. But there are, right, a lot of businesses here in the Waco area. So lots of potential, but also lots of competition. Now, this is where I like, you can't do anything about it, right? If you're already here and you're doing okay, you have the potential. You're in here, you've got 100 or 200 reviews, right? And you're ranking number 5. What can you do, right? What can you do to get the edge? And this is where I continue to push rebranding or adjusting your brand to really, really target that city. A lot of businesses get caught up in potential that they don't want to lose. But if you're in Waco, Texas, right, I don't think you have to worry very much about trying to rank outside of Waco. There's not even like a next city really that's like right next to you. What I mean is, if you're in Houston, you might not want, if you live in this league city, let's say, you might, not want to target League City because you're afraid, I want Houston people to come to my business, right? So that's that potential again, right? But over here, if you're in Waco, why are you not just targeting Waco? I am surprised because the benefit you get from drilling down, right? So you're cutting off your potential. That's why I say if you could rank for one keyword, just one keyword, what would it be? And if you target that really hard, you're going to get your potential goes up. So in this case, right, auto repair Waco. Well, what I would do is call my business Auto Repair Waco, right? Auto Repair Waco, Texas. Or, right, so a lot of these businesses already have auto repair in their name. But how many of these have Waco in their name? I'm not seeing any. But the search people are searching is auto repair Waco. And so that is the sharpening of the spear, right? How do we target the most important search to us in this area and make sure that if we're going to capture something, we capture this top search? So we can do that by adding, for instance, if Pearl's Brothers becomes Pearl's Brothers Auto Repair Waco, that might help improve their chances of showing up at the top of Google Maps search. And then if they have, right, autorepairwaco.com, Waco Auto Repair, Pearl's Auto Repair, you want to get those keywords as much as you can into the domain. Now, whether you put the city in that domain or not, it's kind of up to you. But here you can see, right, this has Pearls Brothers Auto, but they don't have repair in their name. That's going to have an impact. Whereas CMP, let's see what they are. These guys, so that's interesting, right? They don't even have, okay, so they're open 24 hours. So here we're seeing hours, other things throwing us off. These guys don't even have a website, but the fact that they're open 24 hours, so there's your other factor here, and everybody else is closed, is giving them an after hours boost. But let's look at a Trinity Auto House, right? So trinityautohouse.com, Fred's Auto Repair, Waco, Texas. So if Fred's Radiator and Auto Repair, Waco, Texas was here, if that was their name, which maybe it was, and somebody has changed it, and they haven't changed it back, but it looks like they kind of understand this, and that's why, right, they are number 2 here, even when they're closed. The snowball effect is real. You need to find a way to get in a market where there is potential, but also where you can win and give yourself the competitive edge, right? But getting customers in the door, getting that win, getting that keyword where you rank number 1 or number 2, right? That is how you get customers that then snowballs into getting reviews, that snowballs into getting customers. Reviews and review numbers, especially at those key 100, 500, 1,000, right? At those key steps that customers associate psychologically, it's huge. But you have to be able to get revenue in the door and customers in the door to get the reviews, to invest back into your business to snowball. So that's why I always want to look to make sure that we have these things in place and then give ourselves the competitive edge whenever we can to really, really dominate. So I hope this makes sense. I hope it's helpful at some level. If you want to talk more about your business or, how we do things, our goal is to rank everybody we work with number 1. We only work with people who are willing to put in the effort and who are willing to change and take risks that are going to pay off. That's who we work with. So this is Josh from Relentless Local SEO, and we will talk to you next time. See ya.